free. So just come find me throughout the night with anything. So if you need help finding the restrooms, anything you need, I'm gonna be your person. So we're gonna just get started in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Oscar de la Torre. I'm co-chair of the Pico Neighborhood Association, a member of the school board, and I want to thank you all very much for being here. I want to thank all the city staff that came out. Thank you, and welcome also to our new Chief of Police, Cynthia Renau. Thank you very much for being here. In terms of all the media, can everyone that's with a news agency, can you please identify yourself so that we know? Okay, so Zoe and Katie, and you're with which? With the Daily Press? Okay, great. Anybody else? I saw somebody back there. Oh, Ted. Ted, thank you very much for being here. Anyone else? Any other? Yes, back there. You're with ABC. Thank you very much. And that's it. So we want to just let everybody know that a portion of the meeting, at least a portion of the meeting, will be on the news. We have Channel 4 News, Channel 7, and Kate is with Spectrum, I believe. Yeah. And the Daily Press, of course, is also here. So thank you all for all of our news agencies for being here as well. Tonight is obviously a very difficult night for many of us in the Pico neighborhood, because what we've learned so far is that we have 2 individuals that have been arrested in the last 3 years, facing very serious charges. And these are charges stemming from what the law is known as child abuse or child molestation, and there's a lot of different components to that. So we will, when we have a chance, our law enforcement officials will be able to speak more to that. But I just wanted to start off by saying that the Pico Neighborhood Association is obviously very concerned, because what we know about the victims, many of them lived in the Pico neighborhood. We know that some of them continue to live in the Pico neighborhood. And what we've learned so far is that it's been generational trauma that our community has faced because of how long these, well, in terms of one individual, how long this individual operated within our city. First as a volunteer, speaking to Eric Euler, first as a volunteer and then as a city employee. Our hearts go out to the victims, to the families. Many of the individuals affected are also parents. So it's not just them that have been impacted, but also their children that have had to face various issues stemming from these incidents. And so we understand that, and our hearts our hearts and our prayers are with their families. The purpose of today is obviously to have a dialogue, for us to understand how this can occur, not once but twice, and many victims. And that's a very serious concern for many of us. And people need to get some answers to the questions they have. And so we thought that the best way to do this is to have a community forum such as this. We have trained facilitators that are here with us today. They represent an organization called Community Idea. And so Manpreet and Rebecca are going to talk a little bit about how this facilitation is going to go forward today. And this is the first step for us. in terms of understanding what happened, understanding who is accountable. Many of you know now in the newspapers it was reported that there's an internal investigation. So we want to ask some questions about what that internal investigation entails and how it's going to be conducted, the questions that the city government is attempting to answer, and the parameters of that internal investigation. So I'm going to pass on the microphone to our facilitators so that we can get this going. And I want to thank all of you for being here, because I've had the opportunity, unfortunate opportunity, to talk to many of the alleged victims. And many of them feel guilt, many of them feel shame, many of them are very embarrassed, and some of them have a lot of fear about coming forward because they fear reprisals. And I think what us coming together today, it creates a safe space. It's an opportunity to let the victims know that this community stands with them, that we will not tolerate anybody abusing our children in the city of Santa Monica, and that we will stand united against anyone who harms our children or who fails in their responsibility to protect our children. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Community ID, and Manpreet will lead us through the first stage of this night. Thank you.
Thanks, Oscar. So like Oscar said, my name is Manpreet, and we're actually going to hold off introductions for a moment because, like he said, it's a difficult time. And this is going to be a different type of event because, like we said, it's a community dialogue. So it's going to require conversations, and it's going to require listening from all of us. So before we even do introductions, what I'd like us to do is just take a moment to ground ourselves and just be present in the moment. Because there are so many of us just looking around, just look around. There are people that are coming from all over the place that are looking very different from us, that are probably impacted in so many different ways. So I just want to take a moment, just ask you to ground yourself, just be present for this next hour and a half we have together. So I'm going to invite you to just put both of your feet, place both of your feet on the ground, if that's comfortable for you. Just stay seated in your chair and just take a deep breath in. And just focus on your breath. And as you breathe out, notice your body. And as you breathe in again, notice your chest or your belly or your nostrils. And as you breathe out again, just notice your body. Just breathe normally again. And there's so much going on at home, in our work lives, whatever happened before this. So I just want you to take your hand and put it on your chest. You can do it. And feel yourself breathing. Breathing in and out. In and out. Feel your chest moving. You are here right now with every other person in this room. And that is the power in community, in all of us together. And I hope that we can keep that in mind as we have this difficult conversation tonight. So with that, I'm going to invite you, if some of you picked up the communication guidelines that we had on the table. If not, I'm going to pass them out as I pass over the mic to Rebecca and Francine, who are going to be leading and facilitating this dialogue tonight. So please keep those in mind as we have this difficult conversation. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Rebecca Canara. I'm here with multiple hats that I'm wearing, and one is as a co-founder of Community Idea with Manpreet, but as well I'm a mother and community member here. I have 2 children in the school system, and I'm also a survivor. So one of the reasons I'm telling you this information is to make sure that we start from this point, right, where we are here in a circle for an intentional reason, right? We're here as a community. Every single person, we have officials here, we have members of the press, we have everyone here, but we're all starting from that human level that we all wear many hats as we're in this room. And so we're going to go through some community guidelines as we start the conversation. But one thing I want to just tell you is our agenda for the evening. So the point of being in this circle is to start from a place of dialogue, not debate. We're here to share information. Everyone in this room is an expert in their own experience, and we want to hear from you if you're comfortable sharing. We understand that there are additional, with the cameras and things, that may change who shares and how, and we respect that. And so we actually have note cards that we'll be passing around for folks to write down anything they want as we go through. Over here on the side, I have Post-its where we'll be taking notes as facilitators. And so we will be doing that in order to gather what we're hearing from the community as people share. And also it's a place at the end, if you want to write anything on that Post-it note that we hand out, or 2 or 3, whatever you need, Manpreet will be able to provide those to you. You can add those at the end of the meeting. And the reason we're doing this is, at the end we'd like to have this come together in a way as an action, right? As what does it look like moving forward? And so we'll put that together for the community afterwards. But dialogue is open-ended. We're going to ask you for whatever agenda you walked into the room with to let go of that a bit and to be open to what you hear tonight. Thank you. So what we'll do tonight is go through a small exercise on listening so that we are starting from the same place around what it means to listen to each other. And then we're going to have a community sharing for folks to speak about where they're at, what they may need from the community, any questions that are coming up, whatever you need to share. After that, folks here who are wearing the official Santa Monica hat will also be able to then have an opportunity to respond and talk to you, and there will be then that exchange and dialogue to ask any clarifying questions, to connect with them over what they share after they have heard your voices. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Francine, who will talk about the community guidelines.
Hi, I'm Francine Ortega, and I'm here to help facilitate as well. I'm a clinical social worker, which means that I have a background in counseling with children and families over 20 years. But I'm here today more as a facilitator, someone with a background in feelings and mental health, but wanted to kind of differentiate a little bit between what this dialogue is and what it isn't. So we do want to create a healing space here, meaning that we want people to express themselves, and if you're comfortable, share your reactions and your feelings, but just remind everybody it's not therapy either, and it's not group treatment or anything like that, but that healing can still come out of expressing yourself, feeling listened to, feeling heard, and then we want some action to come out of it to meet some of the needs that and questions that will likely be coming up. So just wanted to kind of lay that groundwork. For those of you who, everybody will be coming at this from different places and have been touched perhaps in different ways. So we just want to remind yourself to take care of yourself if things are coming up. If you need to take a moment and step out, take a breath, please do so. If things come up and you feel like you might need more support than this group, there is a paper flyer in the back that has community, and we'll circulate it as well, that has some community counseling resources. If you feel that it's the time to do that. So just wanted to let everybody know. And okay. So if you look, most people have, you should have this community idea guidelines for community dialogue. Does everybody have this? If not, we can get it over to you. Or share. We might not have enough. So we're going to read through them. There are 8 guidelines, and we're going to read through them because they're really important. Each one of them is really important. We don't want to just kind of run through them and figure that we all know about expressing ourselves in dialogue. We want to make sure everybody's got it. So I wanted to see if anybody wanted to volunteer to read one of them, the first one.
Okay, so we don't have a microphone that travels. So what we're going to ask you to do is just read loudly. But I think we're just going to go through a couple and then we'll summarize through because we want to get to actually people sharing.
Our primary commitment is to learn from each other, honor the different experiences that we all bring to this space. We will trust that people are doing the best they can.
Number 2.
Keep an open mind. Be open to dialogue.
We'll jump to number 6.
There's someone who wants to read it out loud?
Anybody want to read number 6?
Number 6.
Take risks and lean into discomfort. Challenge yourself to contribute even if it is not perfectly formulated.
Thank you.
So one of the things is that these community guidelines are important, and in a longer amount of time, we would take the time to formulate them the way the community would want to hear them. But right now, tonight, we're going to ask you to just read that paper, lean into that. If you don't have the paper, we have a quick tool on the wall called a Swire that is really just about coming into this room assuming the best intentions of the people in the room, suspending your judgments as you hear people share, and finding comfort in participating and using those I statements speaking from your experience. Like I said, you're the expert in your experience. We want to hear from your experience. If you start hearing yourself you, then think about how you can rephrase it into I and my experience, my feelings. And we just ask to honor and respect. Because we don't have the microphone and because there are so many people here, we are going to use our own version of a talking stick for folks to share. We really want to honor them. One person shares at a time. So we have a Nerf ball. And we'll pass that around as people share. We can throw it if we need to, but we'll also pass it around. So for tonight, just to get a temperature check, how many people in the room, raise your hands, are feeling angry right now?
So the question was, how many people are feeling angry right now? Raise your hands. Keep them raised.
How many people are feeling angry? All right, thank you. How many people are feeling hurt?
What about hurt? How many people are feeling hurt?
Okay. How many people are feeling confused and want more information? Raise them high. Okay. So I'm just asking this just to start so that we see that there are a lot of people with different experiences and feelings coming into the room. And so we want to hear about all of those. We want to hear what else is going on for you. So what we're going to ask is for you to turn to the person next to you for a minute. We're going to do, what we ask you to do is active listening, which means that when one person is speaking, you're actually listening to them with your heart and your mind, that you are not interrupting them, that you are able to take in what they're saying and maybe be able to reflect back what you heard and affirm something that you value in what they said. So for now, if you could turn to the person next to you, whichever works, depending on everyone's sitting situation, just make it work and we'll come around. If there's someone who doesn't have someone to listen to, we'll be there for you. So what we want you to, have your attention for 1 minute. So you're going to turn to the person next to you, and one person's going to speak. So raise your hand if you're the first person who's going to speak. Once you identify that person, okay? That person is going to tell the person, without being interrupted, why they are here tonight and what they are hoping to learn from this evening. What are their hopes for this evening? And why are they here? Okay, so please go ahead and take that moment. We will have a chance to switch afterwards.
I've been reading the child was that she was amazing. Saw what happened. It's like and I mean, I know it's true. Honestly, I feel like it's probably grown adult again, I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm just saying it feels a little bit less. I just feel like an adult, I feel like an adult male child, that makes me so sick. It just makes me so sick.
Okay, take a moment to wrap up what you were saying, and if you haven't had a chance to switch, I'd like you to switch now and have the other person share why they're here. And take that moment to listen to the person. All right, take another few seconds to wrap up the conversation you're having right now. And for those of you who are standing at the edge, there are seats here if you'd like to come in and sit down. I do see a couple of empty seats. Okay, if I could have everyone's attention back here to me for a minute. Okay. So we need the Nerf ball. So at this point, we did that very quickly for you just to get a feeling of being listened to for the moment. Now we want the whole group to hear from you. And so what we're going to ask is folks who are comfortable, if you'd be willing to share out a little bit about what you were just talking about from your perspective. What was it that you shared? Why you're here? What are you hoping to learn tonight? And anything else you'd like to share. And if you want to speak, could you raise your hand so that we can pass this talking ball around? And because of the microphone and the sound, we're going to ask you to speak loudly, but I will repeat if I need to. If people can't hear, I'll repeat what you say.
I was very angry when I I heard that because my two children were in Cal in 96 and 97. And they liked some of the programs, and then they said, oh, they didn't like it anymore. I didn't hear anything about this issue, but I mean, kids wouldn't tell you if they heard anything about that. So I will talk to my children. I haven't had a chance yet. One is in Canada, and one I just didn't get around to see. So.
Thank you. Does anyone need me to repeat, or did everyone hear? Okay.
I am also angry. I've lived here all my life in Santa Monica. And my biggest issue is trust with the city government, the people responsible or should be accountable for the situation. And, it's a bad situation when you can't trust.
Thank you. What else are people feeling?
Hi, I spent about 23 years on the board of directors of PAL. I was president in the middle of the 90s, I think it was 96. To be honest with you, I mean, I've known a lot of the people that I had run into. You were there a couple of times. But what I find incredible is the allegations that have been made that other people have covered things up. The people that I have known there, they would have killed the guy if they knew. I mean, they were really there for the kids. I can't imagine anyone covering up, staying silent, even if it was just a rumor. Absolutely incredible.
Is there someone else who wants to?
I would just like to have the name of the board of directors.
Joseph Alazola. I'm no longer on the board.
So one of the things they do is we will sit in silence and make space for folks to share. It may take some time to share. And so when we hear silence, that doesn't mean that we're going to move on right away to other questions. We want to make sure that folks who may be thinking about what it is they want to share or are feeling get the space to do so.
Yeah, I have to agree with this gentleman back here about the cover-ups, because throughout history, always the power groups cover up for their own members or someone that might embarrass them. And I think that's totally wrong. I agree with him. If you'd known about this guy, he wouldn't be alive today. And that's how it should be. Nobody should cover up for anybody. Responsible people that run an organization have to accept responsibility and do the right thing. Call those guys over there in uniform and get rid of them.
Okay. So just a reminder to try to speak also from your experience too, right? We want to get first at the community feelings. What are people feeling? And I'm hearing this. I'm hearing the frustration. I'm hearing that there is information about cover-ups that people are responding to and reacting to. But I also saw a lot of hands around hurt. And I'm wondering if the folks who raised their hands earlier around how they're feeling hurt could share a little bit about what they're feeling and why.
I want to read something before I speak about my personal experience, because there's this writer called Brené Brown that wrote a book about leadership, and she wrote in her latest book, Dare to Lead, and there's a lot of leaders on the community and leaders of government. Either way, when the culture of a corporation, not-for-profit, university, government, church, sports program, school, or family mandates that it is more important to protect the reputation of the system and those in power, that it is to protect the basic human dignity of individuals or communities, you can be certain of the following problems. Number one, shame is systemic. Number two, complicity is part of the culture. Number three, money and power trump ethics. Number four, accountability is dead. Number five, control and fear are management tools. And there is a trail of devastation and pain. I came today because I'm angry, I'm sad, but I'm not confused because I've been in therapy for a long time. I'm a survivor. And I've talked to so many people in the city through the last 7 years that the sad part for me is that I'm not surprised. That is sad. It's not that I expected, but I'm not surprised. I'm angry because we don't have to live like this in the 21st century. And these are problems that by now we should have a grip at. On Monday, it was the 8th anniversary of one of my assaults. And it happened in Westwood. And it happened, I'm not going to say, but people that work in the city. And I went to the hospital, and there was a social worker that intervened. I was examined. I left, and I went to the rape treatment center afterwards to get services, and I was not given services. So I went to the rape treatment center last week to try to understand why they didn't help me. And I talked to the lead legal over there and one of the counselors. And they said, we don't have any record of your incident. And I said, well, when I was downstairs in the emergency room, they said that there was someone from the rape treatment center. And they said, no, in an emergency we have social workers, but they are not necessarily part of the rape treatment center. And UCLA has the most renowned and the best rape treatment center in the country. So, that confused me even more, because how there's no record of this, how there's no record of what happened to me, there's no trail. And 2 years ago, I was at a city council meeting, and I heard that the city was giving this organization $600,000. And I'm not implying that because of that there's a cover-up, but my red flags went up immediately. Because when there's that amount of money, things can happen. So we have to also understand the gravity and the terror of this, because I was assaulted as a young girl, and it has happened to me systematically over my life. It happened to me in New York when I moved to New York, it happened to me here, it happened to me in a relationship. So these type of wounds in children stay with you for the rest of your life. And if you don't heal them, and if we as a community don't support, you're gonna get 49, I'm 49 years old, I'm gonna be 50 in January, and I'm still struggling with this. This is not something that we have to take lightly. This is very, very, very serious.
Thank you.
I just want to take a moment to respond and say it is so powerful for you to share your experience in front of all of these people and strangers. So I just really appreciate you for being so powerful right now and sharing your experience. Thank you. And I know that might have been something, I saw some nodding heads and also just a lot of emotion in people's faces, and this is the long-term pain that children and now adults are facing. So yes, it's easy to jump to accountability, 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 but this is why feelings and emotions and what we're doing right now in conversations are also important for us to make space for. So we want to take a moment to now give you, your other partner, a chance. And just share, why is your other partner here? What are you feeling? You can just share what's going on for you right now. Just how are you feeling right now? So just take one brief minute, turn to your partner again, and just share what's going on for you right now. What are you feeling? And then we'll bring you back together again. Thank you.
All my sisters did too.
You must have gotten like a
I love my little boy. But my sisters would always be jealous. Like, how come the boys got long eyelashes?
Yeah.
And all the sisters.
Yeah.
Okay, we can come back now to the larger group. I have one announcement that normally the parking lot at 8 p.m. would be closed to cars. The police have taken care of that. Don't worry about your cars.
Virginia.
On Virginia Avenue?
Yeah, 8? Yeah. So we're good. We'll be good.
That one.
Yeah, don't worry about tickets.
So don't worry about tickets, if any of you are worrying about that. Okay. So you all just turned to people around you and shared more information. We want to know now from, in this larger group, what you're comfortable sharing out. What did you just talk about? Where are you at? What are you feeling about what you're hearing so far?
The environment in which we live in is scary today, and I would like to be able to walk away knowing that our community, since they want to develop a larger PAL at the Memorial Park, that how we're going to protect the kids with an expansion of this program. And so those are my concerns. I'm concerned about where we are in the world today and how we're going to protect everybody. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Armin Maltonian, founder of Red Democracy. I found out about the Euler investigation about 2 months before it broke. And I was talking to someone at a global coffee shop who was telling me, just wait and see what comes about, what you hear about this guy Euler. And what was involved going back for 2 generations. And after that conversation, I told myself, how does this person know? Is it real? I didn't really believe it. I had no reason not to believe this person because I trust them. But I walked away thinking, how would this person know? How does Euler not know? How does the community not know? And then the story broke. Now I've come here assuming good intentions moving forward. But I don't feel that there were any good intentions in the past with what's happened at PAL, with what's happened with generations of abuse from our children. I don't see it. Everything I've heard, I don't feel it. On our website, there's 3,100 members now in our Facebook group. As soon as the news broke, probably about 10 people started chiming in that were children that had gone to PAL, that were in the neighborhood, that are now adults, all saying we all knew, all saying that this guy was a creep, all saying that this guy drove police cars, had police radios, would take children, would give them toys, would give them bikes, would give them money. The community knew. Somebody chimed in on the website saying that they worked there, that they told the officials about what happened, and they were both written up for spreading rumors and were forced to quit because they felt uncomfortable in their city job. Nothing happened. I don't think there were intentions. I think there was a cover-up. We heard from the ex-director of PAL. Of course he's going to say that. What has the Catholic Church said? What have all the institutions said? What has USC said? What happens in these cases? They cover up. What I'm interested in is moving forward, that we have an investigation that deals with these cover-ups. That's what we talked about. I didn't come here today thinking it would be a therapy session. I thought this would be something to express our views. The anger, it's real. It needs to come out. It needs to go to our city officials. I thank the council members, the city attorney, the police chief who are here to listen to the community. But we need an investigation that is accountable to the residents of this community, to the children who have been suffered at the hands of a city employee, where there's allegations of cover-up from multiple individuals. It is real. We need to deal with it. The city, the second day, hired counsel for an investigation. What does that mean? I went and looked up counsel. There was a law firm that was hired by the city. Their number one goal will be to limit the liability of the city. I've talked with ex-police officers and firemen who've been involved in these kinds of investigations. What they've told me the problem with these investigations is that the information goes to the city attorney's office, then the city manager's office, then to city council. There's many opportunities to sanitize the information coming out, to protect the liability of the city. What we need is a citizens advice, a citizens committee that oversees the entire investigation, that sets the scope of the investigation, that sets the direction of the investigation, that sets the redirection of the investigation, and is given all of the information concurrently with the city. The investigators that were hired, if you go look at their resumes, they protect cities. Case after case, they're proud, they boast that they limited the liability of the city, that they took a case for employment discrimination and they reduced it to nothing, that they took a case for sexual discrimination and they reduced it to nothing. These are the investigators that our city has hired. I, as a resident, as somebody who is in touch with 3,100 residents on our website, demand accountability, transparency, and a resident committee to oversee the entire investigation. That's why I'm here, and that's what I want to get off my chest. And we expect it, we demand it, and we do it.
So I appreciate you sharing all of that, and I agree. It is not a therapy session, and we're here to hear this because the anger is real, and the information behind the anger and the experience behind the anger matters. And so we need to hear that and then move towards a place of what does the community need from each other and from the officials, not just in the room, right? But like the folks that you were naming as you spoke. I saw a...
There's right here, and then there's
Okay.
right there, yeah.
And then there's...
Let's hear from the people that are gonna educate us
Yeah.
on the problem.
That's right.
That's enough entertainment, please. Are you looking for the city?
No.
What's your agenda? I mean.
So our...
We need to hear from
problem.
the people in
Not
charge of
you.
the city to
We
inform
never
us.
seen you, and we'll probably never see you again. We have a problem, let's work on that.
Okay, so I hear you, and I hear that you want to hear from the city, and that is where we're heading. The reason why we are setting this up so that you all speak first is because I've been in meetings where the city speaks first, where the police chief speaks first, and there's very little time for the folks here to actually share where they're at and what they're concerned and what they want to know. And so the folks from the city will have time to speak, and they will be answering that, and then you will have time to question them and ask them more questions. So, but I saw that she wanted to speak first.
Oh, hi, my name is Zakaya, and I have children who attended PAL in the 90s, and I have one who presently goes there now. He actually loves PAL. The staff is wonderful. I feel hurt about everything that has happened to the victims in this situation. But I think the question is, how do we start educating our kids about the situations that's going on right now, and that they're the boss of their body? You know, because sometimes they think that because we may talk to each other, oh, that's mom's friend, we could trust them, but, you know, who can you really trust? You know, you have to talk to these kids, so how do we talk to them about, you know, their bodies, and, you know, to be careful about people who's trying to buy them toys and things like that? How do we educate them?
There's a I think that's a really important question. I've seen this